bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends, and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love, because you're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. We can get on a plane and take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to disappear for a night, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Big fat liars.
Tell me
Big fat liars. Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. All right. Look. As if you needed any more... the reason why I think that we need to talk about this story, as if we needed any more reason to call the Russia collusion story a complete hoax. But worse, a dangerous, a real fake conspiracy theory that was really dangerous. The reason why I think we need to talk about this more is because of this like blind obedience to authority that we keep seeing from certain people in the population, as if they just don't get angry when people lie to them or something, you know? Like, it's frankly very anti-American. All right, I'm just coming out today. It's anti-American to be so stupid. It's anti-American to be so naive. It's anti-American to be so gullible. You're supposed to, as an American, have a healthy skepticism of authority, because you're not supposed to be completely ignorant to human nature and realize that power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. People in authority lie a lot. And it's something that really, this kind of naivete cannot be tolerated by members of the society when you no longer have a watchdog group who is policing the halls of the powerful. We are supposed to have them. They're called the media, but they are equally corrupt. And if not, no, they're equally dishonest. They're all a bunch of lying pieces of trash. And we're going to go back and we're going to remember one of these stories today. For those who don't know, Michael Sussman, a very prominent Clinton lawyer. Michael Sussman is well known. And he had a great deal to do with the Russia collusion hoax, apparently. All right. And for those also who don't know, Mr. Anti-Election Integrity, Mark Elias, that's his buddy. That's his law firm. And we're going to go down take a little trip down memory lane today. Because this, and I'm going to read damn near the first 7 pages of the indictment. Because this is important. An entire presidency, all right, was handicapped, or, the word interfered with, it's not even strong enough. It's not even strong enough. This fake story, along with other elements to the larger fake narrative of Russia collusion, was used first as an attempt to be an October surprise. We're going to go back and we're going to remember that, okay? And then when Donald Trump was inaugurated and became president, this was one of many fake stories that were laundered by Democrats and their hack friends in the media, like Natasha Bertrand, and it was a lie. They looked square into the camera, just like I'm doing now, and lied to you. The difference here, and Sussman's essentially, he is charged with being a liar to a federal agent. But it's very much like what Mike Flynn did, only the difference here is that he lied about his capacity to when laundering this information, what his role was, the capacity of the role he was acting in. He's not Michael Flynn who forgot a date and then was charged with lying to a federal officer because it's a process crime or something. No, this is a little bit more significant than that. And if the fake New York Times tries to get ahead of this indictment and sugarcoat it, how bad it really is, when you read the actual indictment, it's much, much worse than what the media, who had to acknowledge it, how they even framed it. Because if you read the indictment, you'll realize this was a lie. They knew it was a lie. They lied to the feds, everybody, and to the country. And Hillary Clinton, who still has a Twitter account, by the way, pushed this lie. There were many of us who pointed out that Hillary Clinton's Twitter account was a little bit too active with information she should never have known. If the genesis of Crossfire Hurricane was legitimate, you wouldn't know this information. But that's because, in truth, as the indictment clearly shows, it was her campaign and the Democratic National Committee bought and paid for laundered garbage information to the FBI and lied to them. They pretended to be, I'm just a good Samaritan, putting this in the hands of the good guys who should go ahead and investigate it because I'm just a patriotic American. What a load of crap. Let's really quickly rewind. Here is, and by the way, now this turd works for Biden, which is incredible.
Last
Musical
week,
chairs.
CNN reported that the FBI is still investigating what's being described as this odd link between a computer servers at a Russian bank called Alpha Bank and a server over that dealt with Trump, the Trump organization, although that server was outside Trump Tower, wasn't a Trump Tower. The FBI has refused all comment. The Trump organization and the Alpha Bank, they've denied any contact. The allegation originally, as you well remember, came up during the presidential campaign in an article in Slate magazine. It was widely dismissed at the time. At the time when you were working for the Clinton campaign, you issued a statement calling it a secret hotline between Trump and Russia and asking that it be investigated.
I'm sorry. A secret hotline between... I'm sorry. Do you know what? In fact, before we go back, before we give him a chance to comment, I want to leave it at secret hotline. Okay, I want to leave it there because let's read the indictment. 1 second. All right, so the U.S. v. Michael Sussman. In or about late October 2016, which is about the time that Hillary Clinton sent this tweet. Okay, let's put this tweet up first. Okay, and the tweet says, "Computer scientists," and you got to remember that term, because you're going to hear him say these expert computer scientists, these really serious computer scientists. These are really serious computer scientists. These guys are tops computer scientists. You're going to hear that over and over again. Okay,
They have to convince you.
They're trying to establish credibility. You know, well, look, that's not me saying it. These are these like really serious computer scientists. All right, and then Hillary Clinton tweets, "Computer scientists have apparently uncovered," apparently, like she just heard about this, okay? "Have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russia-based bank." That's Alpha.
Was it in her bathroom?
All right, this is what's so funny about this, because it's like a computer scientist. She's using their terms, okay? And apparently, as if she just now heard about it. And then she tweets a statement, Jake Sullivan, that's the man of the hour right there, all right? And says, in response to a new report from Slate showing that the Trump organization has had a secret server registered to Trump Tower that has been covertly communicating with Russia. Wait until you find out what the real deal was with this, okay? Just wait until you hear what really was going on. Quote, "This could be the most direct link yet between Donald Trump and Moscow. Computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russia-based bank. The secret hotline may be the key to unlocking the mystery of Trump's ties to Russia. It certainly seems the Trump organization felt it had something to hide, given that it apparently took steps to conceal the link when it was discovered by journalists." Oh man, that sounds bad, doesn't it? His bizarre adoration of Vladimir Putin, the statement goes on to say, Trump's bizarre adoration with Vladimir Putin, and the endorsement of so many pro-Kremlin positions throughout his campaign. First of all, without a doubt, any objective person would say, looking at Joe Biden's record over 6 months, 7 months, 8 months now, versus Donald Trump's record over 4 years, without a doubt, Donald Trump was much, much stronger against Russia than not only Joe Biden, but Barack Obama and George W. Bush. But Joe Biden has done everything that if you were Vladimir Putin, you would want him to do. Everything from pipelines to even allowing certain allies now to work on constructs with the Russians that Donald Trump put the kibosh on. Sanctions that Vladimir Putin no longer need not worry about. Without a doubt, Donald Trump was much stronger than Joe Biden or any of these people when it came to Russia. And it's not even close. And you're either a complete partisan hack or you're just stupid to try to make any other assertion. It's not even close. Let's get back to this indictment, though, because this is hilarious as to what really was going on here. All right, so what the feds are saying is on or about late October 16, right around that time that she tweeted that. Approximately 1 week before the 2016 U.S. presidential election, multiple media outlets reported that the U.S. government authorities had received and were investigating allegations concerning a purported secret channel of communication between the Trump organization owned by Donald J. Trump and a particular Russian bank, which they mark as Russian Bank 1, we know as Alpha, okay? According to one of these articles published by a major U.S. newspaper, that would be the first came out in the New York Times, I believe. intelligence officials possessed information concerning, quote, what cyber experts said appeared to be a mysterious computer back channel between the Trump Organization and Russia Bank One. The article further reported that the Federal Bureau of Investigation had, quote, spent weeks examining computer data showing an odd stream of activity to a Trump Organization server, unquote, and that, quote again, computer logs obtained by Newspaper One showed that, quote, 2 servers at Russia Bank One sent more than 2,700 lookup messages to a Trump-connected server beginning in the spring, unquote. According to other articles, this information had been assembled by an anonymous computer researcher who used the moniker Tea Leaves. The FBI, in fact, initiated an investigation of these allegations in response to a meeting that Michael A. Sussman, the defendant herein, a lawyer at a major international law firm, that would be Mark Elias Perkins Coie, requested and held with FBI General Counsel on or about September 19, 2016, at FBI headquarters in the District of Columbia. Okay, so listen, understand. They laundered this information to the FBI. It's not true, and you're going to hear that soon. They laundered it to the FBI to get the FBI to start looking into a matter. Sussman will later tell the FBI he's just a good Samaritan. Then they go, the very same people, working for Hillary and the Democrats, go and launder this story that there is now an investigation to corporate media. Again, in intelligence community, this is called circular reporting, where everybody uses the same source to confirm each other, and it's a no-no. It's unethical. It used to be cause for being fired if you were a sucker reporter who fell for it. Because, of course, you're supposed to corroborate these things with different sources. But instead, the source is the same source. Sussman provided the FBI General Counsel 3 white papers, along with data files allegedly containing evidence supporting the existence of this purported secret communications channel. During the meeting, Sussman lied about the capacity in which he was providing the allegations to the FBI. Specifically, this is not a process crime, Laura. This is what I want to make clear. This is not a process crime. A Martha Stewart, wrong thing in the email, so Jim Comey nails me to the wall. Michael Flynn, I forgot the date of this supposed thing, so I get nailed to the wall. It is lying, but it is not, he did not lie in the same capacity that the rest of these people were talking about. Roger Stone makes a false statement under oath or something. It's not really particularly material, but whatever. That's a false statement. It's under oath. You're getting charged. It's perjury. It's a felony. You're charged. That's not what happened here. This is an intentional deception. It's a conspiracy. Sussman falsely stated that he was not doing his work on the aforementioned allegations, quote, for any client, unquote, which led the FBI General Counsel to understand that Sussman was acting as a good citizen, merely passing along information, not as a paid advocate or political operative. In fact, and as alleged in further detail below, this statement was intentionally false and misleading because, in assembling and conveying these allegations, Sussman acted on behalf of specific clients, namely a U.S. technology industry executive, Tech Executive One. I wonder who that could be. A U.S. Internet Company One, and 2, the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, which they will refer to here from now on, as it says in the little parentheses, as the Clinton campaign. Sussman's lie was material because, among other reasons, Sussman's false statement misled FBI General Counsel and other FBI personnel concerning the political nature of his work and deprived the FBI of information that might have permitted it more fully to assess and uncover the origins of the relevant data and technical analysis, including the identities and motivations of Sussman's clients. Listen, before we continue, it's important for everybody to understand that Sussman is the one that the DNC ran to in order to, when they said there was this breach now, and they had what is the name? Why am I losing? CrowdStrike. Thank you. That firm to come in and say, you know, well, we now know under oath from the president's testimony that that's not even true. We don't even know that they really were hacked by the Russians, folks. Screenshots are not taken in server downloads, okay? It's a total joke. Nobody could have screenshotted all of that material. The idea is just ridiculous on its face to anybody who knows. So whoever took that information went in through cPanel as an administrator and downloaded it.
But you get A for effort.
Amazing what you will hear on TV networks for years. To this very day, there are still people who are going to tell you after this indictment that Donald Trump had some secret back channel with the Russians. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's going to be one of those lies that some idiots are just forever going to believe because they'll never understand. Would CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post and MSNBC, would they really tell that big of a lie? Yes. They will. Just like they'll lie to you about myriad other things from public health to politics. Because the powerful lie. A lot. Anyway, he was already retained because of the so-called hack. Had the FBI uncovered the origins of relevant data and analysis as alleged below, it might have learned, among other things, that in compiling and analyzing the Russian Bank 1 allegations, Tech Executive 1 had exploited his access to non-public data in multiple internet companies to conduct opposition research concerning Trump. And 2, in furtherance of these efforts, Tech Executive 1 had enlisted and was continuing to enlist the assistance of researchers at a U.S.-based university, we know who this is now, don't we, who were receiving and analyzing internet data in connection with the pending federal government cybersecurity research contract. And 3, Sussman, Tech Executive 1, and Law Firm 1, Perkins Coie, had coordinated and were continuing to coordinate with representatives and agents of the Clinton campaign with regard to the data and written materials that Sussman gave to the FBI and the media. They created a fake story. They used it to start a crooked investigation and then laundered that information to the media and sold it as a legitimate investigation being investigated by legitimate FBI agents because of what other reason would there be? Donald Trump must be a traitor. Because this, among how many other fake stories laundered just like this, all pointed to the same thing. That Donald Trump has some, what did Hillary Clinton call it? This is all part of Trump's bizarre adoration of Vladimir Putin. And you know what? He must be a traitor.
But she was the one with the reset button.
This is incredible,
right?
How a bunch of people who gave Vladimir Putin everything he wanted, were all of a sudden going to be the guardians of American liberty against the Kremlin. These are the people who have been in bed with pro-Putin allies from Ukraine to Moscow. These are these people. This is who they are. They were all of a sudden going to be American patriots? Get the hell out of here. Going back here, what did I say? Page 6 was really important,
yes,
right? That's what I wanted to make sure I stopped there. But anyway, I want to get back because it's important to find out what the FBI actually uncovered here. Because this is how ridiculous this was, all right? Going back. All right, so the FBI's investigation of these allegations nevertheless concluded that there was insufficient evidence to support the allegations of a secret communication channel with Russia Bank 1. In particular, and among other things, the FBI investigation revealed that the email server at issue was not owned or operated by the Trump organization, but rather had been administered by a mass marketing email company that sent advertisements for Trump hotels and hundreds of other clients. Oh my God, you nailed MailChimp dead to rights. This is incredible. It's incredible. Folks, holy sugar. At all times relevant to this indictment, Sussman was employed at Law Firm 1, we know. Previously, Sussman was employed by the U.S. Department of Justice. So I wonder how all of this stuff can easily be labeled, laundered in and out of Maine justice. It's all the same crooks playing musical chairs. They go from party man to government man, from party man to government. That's all they do.
They're the regifters.
In fact, Sullivan now, look where he is. He was employed by the U.S. Department of Justice in various capacities. In his work at DOJ, Sussman became familiar with U.S. criminal laws, including Title 18, United States Code Section 1001, which criminalizes the making of a materially false statement to U.S. officials. In other words, you dumbass, you should have known full well you could have gotten, well, what he didn't count on was a special counsel. And I'm not saying that Durham's the apple in your eye if you're a Trump supporter looking for retribution. But he's not exactly a pushover either. So if you make a fool of the FBI, which is what Sussman did here, you make a fool of them, somebody's going to pay for something. Now, regardless, I don't know what's going to happen to his law license. Because, look, people like this, sadly, it's just a reality. This guy's got connections. Look at Andrew Weissman. The guy was literally the most disgraced prosecutor in the federal government. Yet, he went on to be Mueller's number 2. And everybody praised him.
Loved him.
As if he's not the only prosecutor to be struck down 9-0 by the U.S. Supreme Court. In a major federal case. They revamped him overnight. Look, they can revamp George W. Bush.
Mm-hmm.
All of these people they wanted charged for war crimes at The Hague. They wanted to string up George W. Bush, along with all of these lawyers we're talking about right now, or half of them. Robert Mueller was another traitor. Mm-hmm. He was their hero, remember? Hashtag Mueller time. Mueller time, Mueller time. Jesus.
I wanted to smack Bush for
In
the
it-
9/11 speech.
I did go on a brief tirade the other day about that when
Did
you and
think?
you were
Yeah.
here. In his work at Law Firm 1, Sussman represented numerous clients in cybersecurity, privacy, and national security related matters in or about April of 2016. Months before Hillary Clinton sent that tweet, which is why she had all this information. Because her team was laundering it. The Democratic National Committee retained Sussman to represent it in connection with the hacking of its email servers by the Russian government. In connection with his representation of the DNC as the victim of the hack, the defendant met and communicated regularly with the FBI, the DOJ, and other U.S. government agencies. In or around the same period, Sussman was also advising the Clinton campaign in connection with cybersecurity issues. Listen, where is, the bottom line is, I want to just get to, we're up to 4. I want to get to 6 because this is really the key, really key. All right, so, as part of its efforts to assist the Clinton campaign in the DNC, Law Firm 1 retained a particular investigative firm, U.S. investigative firm. I wonder who that could be, to gather information regarding Trump's purported ties to Russia. Who could that be? Glenn Simpson and his merry band of shadowy smear merchants at Fusion GPS? Throughout the presidential campaign, the U.S. investigative firm worked with Law Firm 1, members of the media, and others to gather and disseminate purported evidence of Trump's ties to Russia. Tech Executive 1 was at all times relevant to this indictment and an executive of a particular internet company which offers various internet-related services and products, including domain name security resolution services to its customers. That's DNS, for those who don't know. DNS is a naming system for devices connected to the internet that translates recognizable domain names, i.e. www.google.com, to numerical IP addresses. Right? So 123.456.7.89. A DNS lookup refers to an electronic request by a particular company or device to query information from one device or server. by virtue of his position at Internet Company One and other companies. Tech Executive One maintained direct or indirect access to and the ability to provide others access to large amounts of Internet and cyber security data, including DNS data. In or about February 2015, Tech Executive One retained Sussman as his lawyer in connection with a matter involving an agency of the U.S. government. Sussman also frequently served as outside counsel to Internet Company One, which was a significant source of revenue for law firm One. And folks, these people are too big and need to be destroyed and broken up, Teddy ass Roosevelt style. Because this is just a bunch of them. They're all friends with each other. They all turn each of their levers of power on their mutual enemies. They work together to do so. It's worse than a monopoly. It's a cabal of monopolies. And it's with all of these same little hack, dirty piece of crap.
You mind your mouth.
I'm trying. I really am. But these are the filthiest of the filthiest, the dirtiest of the dirtiest that this country has. And that yet they have all these friends in all the right places, to the point where they could literally pull a scam like this against 340 million people, which paints their duly elected president as a traitor. Can literally stop the wheels of self-governance from turning. With fake stories.
And no accountability.
And no accountability. Because this is much worse than a simple lie, folks. This is much worse than a simple lie. This is more like a disgusting conspiracy, to defraud the American public and rob them of their government. Let's see if listen, this is a repeat offender. This woman is a repeat offender. And what they did with Russia collusion is try to obfuscate the facts and the timelines to the point where it just was so complicated. It was so hard to understand. And the lies got woven so deep, the web of lies got so thick that they wanted you to just say, you know what, this is just too complicated. This can't be a lie. This just can't be a lie. The most simplest explanation is that everything they're telling us is true and Donald Trump must be a traitor. All right?
I mean, what more evidence do you need? It's very obvious, and it's really Occam's razor here. The fact that we still have not been able to rule out the idea that this was a covert communication channel 2 years after the fact that no one has come forth with a plausible explanation for why this was happening, for why Alpha Bank was one of 3 organizations communicating with the Trump server in those months leading up to the election is just completely remarkable. And I think the fact that Frank's story got overlooked or criticized as much as it did, and the fact that now it's being revisited and you have the editor of the New York Times saying that there, was a story there, just shows the lack of imagination. I mean...
All right, so for those of you who may need help remembering, Natasha Bertrand is a repeat offender who was, repeatedly funneled this garbage information that was not true, and then she used her positions at Politico, back then was the Atlantic, right, and elsewhere, to funnel these lies, this disinformation campaign to the American people. And by the way, you may recognize her for her role in the impeachment over Ukraine debacle. She was key in pushing these edited transcripts that they would take, these allegations of Rudy Giuliani, being basically some stooge for the Russian government because he was trying to do what a lawyer does, which is defend his client. Rudy Giuliani was doing what a lawyer does, defend his client and trying to prove that, like this story and many others, these were lies. Laundered lies. And Natasha Bertrand went after him. Occam's razor. 2 years later, it's incredible. We don't have another explanation. No, you know what's incredible? That we needed a special counsel to indict someone for doing something we all already knew. When she made that statement, folks, there was plenty of evidence showing that this whole thing was a fraud. And yet she goes on MSNBC and says, Occam's razor, folks. For those who don't know, Occam's razor is, barring, the most simplest explanation tends to be the right one. Not in this world. Not in the world of politics and deception. That is not true. And in fact, for those who have been around a long time, the most simplest explanation is that she is a asset masquerading as a lawyer, as a reporter. She's not a journalist. She's an asset. There's a difference. They're not her sources. She is their asset. They're not legitimate sources of information. She's not out there getting a scoop, getting a story. She's being played because she looks like a 20-year-old girl who has no idea what she's doing. And she's happy to be fed lies and misinformation. This is a major problem throughout the entire Trump era and clearly appears to be just getting worse. These are naive, ignorant, little privileged white kids with an education bought and paid for by their mommies and daddies who have no real understanding of how the world works. They're dying because they're ambitious. Because they're power hungry and they're ambitious and they inflate their own self-importance. So they're very easy marks for intelligence people. They're very easy marks. Take a veteran intel guy, 2 seconds to mark somebody like Natasha and be like, you know what? Bertrand's about to be my... I'm going to have that idiot printing whatever it is I want. And she's going to serve a purpose like a good, useful little idiot does. And she's dying to be a team player. They all are. None of them think for themselves anymore. It doesn't matter if it's her or Maggie Haberman. They were all being fed the same spoon-fed the same lies. And printing them up like there's some kind of legitimate story from an intel source. No, you are an asset. They are not your sources. You're a tool. They used you. And you willfully let them.
Gleefully.
Happily. Sure, I'll be your Huckleberry. Fools, man. Did an incredible disservice.
And they're the first that get lined up.
Well, we haven't had a plausible explanation for why the Trump organization was, having these secret communications. You idiot, it's a mailing list. Holy crap. MailChimp or, whatever, sending out a mass email campaign for marketing purposes. Holy hell. I mean, Laura, holy hell. By in or around late July 2016, the aforementioned computer researcher who used the moniker Tea Leaves had assembled purported DNS data reflecting apparent DNS lookups between Russian Bank 1 and an email domain, mail1.trump/email.com, the Russia Bank data. The purported data spanned the time period from on or about May 4, 2016 through on or about July 29, 2016. At all times relevant to this indictment, Originator 1, who is Tea Leaves, was a business associate of Tech Executive 1. By in or about July 2016, Tech Executive 1 and others were in possession of the Russian bank data. Also, in or about July 2016, Tech Executive 1 alerted Sussman to the Russian bank data. Over the ensuing weeks, and as part of their lawyer-client relationship, Sussman and Tech Executive 1 engaged in efforts with Campaign Lawyer 1 and individuals acting on behalf of the Clinton campaign. By the way, we know that's Mark Elias. Can we be real? and on behalf of the Clinton campaign to share information about the Russian bank data with media and outlets claiming that it demonstrated the existence of a secret communications channel between the Trump organization and Russian Bank One.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, it's incredible. This is incredible.
Listen, even Paramount wouldn't buy this film.
Nothing.
Because that's how much it sucks.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's so easy to uncover any reporter worth their weight in forget about gold. Any reporter worth their weight in dog could have realized this. All phone calls, Laura. What's your relationship to so and so? Right? I mean, and you just start realizing that all of these guys and girls are all intertwined. They're not actually offering any real evidence. This had stink all over it. All over it. And not a single, folks, don't give me gray lady crap anymore. Not Maggie Haberman at the New York Times. Not any of their little their security correspondents at the Washington Post. Nobody. Since all of these people are known fixtures in Washington, D.C., nobody put this together? No, they just freaking lied to you.
So ridiculous.
They just lied to you. By the way, you know who bought the Russia collusion hoax? Hook, line, and sinker? James Hodgkinson. And I hate naming people. The man who gunned down a bunch of Republican lawmakers and their security details while practicing for a charity baseball game. He fully believed Donald Trump was a traitor. And Republicans had to die because they were enablers. They were his enablers. Before Facebook scrubbed his social media profile because you couldn't see what a Russia collusion truther he was, he posted that this had to stop. Somebody's got to stop. The enablers. Because Donald Trump is a traitor. We have a traitor in the White House. And somebody's got to do something about it. And he did, didn't he? Natasha. From in or about late July through, and this is the last one, in or about late July through in or about mid-August 2016, Sussman, Tech Executive 1, and Campaign Lawyer 1 coordinated and communicated about the Russian bank allegations during telephone calls and meetings, which Sussman billed to the Clinton campaign, denoted in Law Firms 1's billing records by its official corporate name, HFACC. For example, on or about July 29th, 2016, Sussman and Campaign Lawyer 1, Mark, met with personnel from the U.S. investigative firm, Fusion GPS, in Campaign Lawyer 1's office. Sussman billed his time in his meeting to the Clinton campaign under the category, are you ready? General political advice. With the billing description, meeting with Campaign Lawyer 1. Others regarding, you ready? Confidential project. I kid you not, folks. He actually, in the billing description, wrote, meeting with Mark Elias and others regarding confidential project. Unquote. For all of Sussman's other billing entries cited herein that he billed to the Clinton campaign, he similarly billed his time to the campaign under the category general political advice. I wonder what confidential project he could be citing. Would it be the laundering of disinformation that we now know to be the Russia collusion hoax? Well, of course it is. And now he's been indicted for lying about it. He had a meeting with the FBI general counsel, claiming to be a good Samaritan who just wanted the FBI to have this information. In truth, this was a campaign ploy. Worse. There's no name for this.
No.
It's not a dirty trick, Laura. It's not an October surprise. They use their friends in the government to launder fake information, to start a political persecution against their political opponent, and then they laundered that information to a corrupt media who went on with it. And by the way, folks, understand, do you remember the attacks on Devin Nunes over this story? When he first came out and said, this is a laundered disinformation campaign, do you remember the attacks against this man? He had to temporarily stand down from the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence because they were questioning his character.
How dare they?
No, he was right, and they were liars.
Mm-hmm.
Let this be a lesson to Republicans. Don't ever step down. Don't ever try to appease them. Who gives a damn about an ethics investigation, which he was cleared of? Who cares?
When was the last time you've seen a Democrat do that? Step down.
Never. Never. That's exactly the point. Adam Schiff fabricated the transcript during the impeachment hearing. He didn't step down. He was the lead counsel. Eric Swalwell has sold this lie and other lies for years having to do with Russia collusion. Yet he was the top lawyer on the impeachment. Let this be a lesson to you. Don't ever step down. Ever. Doesn't appease anybody. It's like giving piranhas just like a little piece of chicken. Just a little piece. Think that's going to suffice? This is outrageous. This is outrageous. And look, if you may have hated Donald Trump. If you're not angry, if you're a Rachel Maddow watcher, or a Chris Hayes watcher, or you read Natasha Bertrand, or you read Maggie Haberman, you watch CNN, you watch MSNBC, you should be thoroughly pissed. I don't know how many more times you like being lied to. That's why you think half of COVID infections end up in hospitalization. They sell you garbage information and you buy it all the time. You believe it. They make a fool out of you.
It's so sad.
It is. Don't you see what a sucker you are? They're making fools of. They already did. You are a fool. You are a fool. Michael Cohen never went to Prague. Donald Trump did not have some back channel with a server communicating with a Russia bank. They didn't do polling for the Russians. I mean, how many more you want to keep going? CNN was too stupid to see the dates when they reported that Don Jr. took that meeting and had some information about WikiLeaks. How many more? It was a lie, and you were played for a fool. You know what I was talking about with Laura yesterday? All of these scandals with Trump, right? All of these things with Trump versus all of these scandals with Biden so far. All of these things with Trump affected only you and your mind. They weren't real. They were fabrications.
There was no repercussions.
They affected your mental illness that you have. That's it. With Biden, people really die.
Yeah.
So you have this could be some fake scandal and somehow it's Donald Trump's fault in Afghanistan. Donald Trump didn't oversee that withdrawal. That was Joe Biden. And there are real people dead, more than a dozen. In your world, where Donald Trump was some traitor who colluded with Russia, that's a fantasy. It's a delusion. In fact, most of these things that I hear are delusions. The Charlottesville hoax. He refused to denounce white supremacy. That's about as true as Sussman's information that he laundered to the FBI. That absolutely is not true. It is fake. The Ukraine transcript. They had to take 500 words out of it to make it even look like what they said it was. The difference is really a delusion versus a reality. It's freaking scary. This was not real. Do you understand this? If they're willing to lie to you about this, what else are they willing to lie to you about? Maybe gain-of-function research, maybe? Who knows? Efficacy? Safety? I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about with Russia collusion before we just put this one in the history books as a mass misinformation campaign that duped millions of you? I still know people who believe this crap. I do. Don't you have anything real that you can criticize him for?
No.
Because this is why I'm at this point now. Do you have anything that is not a delusion in your tiny brains that you can criticize him for? Is anything real?
And I'm not talking about his crassness or his stupid little tweets. I'm talking about policies.
Yeah.
Running a country.
Or
what did he fail at? Did he not come through?
Is there something real? Right. He didn't call military servicemen and women that, by the way, that was Natasha's old newspaper. A man who lied to the country about WMDs. That's who sold that fake story.
Yep.
I kid you not. One of the main pushers of the WMD's lie. Is there anything else that you think is real and not a delusion in your mind? It's 11:53. After we come back from break, we're gonna have Don Smith on. We're gonna do a Q&A. I spent an hour on this. I had to. I do want to talk about the White House's decision, which is, look, you know what? Before we even get to the break, Joe Biden is intentionally withholding monoclonal antibody treatment from Texas and Florida because he wants you to die. There's no logical reason for doing this. There's no supply issue, Laura. There's no reports of shortages anywhere. This is simply to try to force people who don't want to get a vaccine into either death or getting a vaccine. Because this makes no sense, what they are saying. Oh, well, we want it to be equitable. You know, it's not fair for Texas and Florida, who are relatively low vaccinated states, to get as much as all these other. Vermont is the highest vaccinated state in the country. Why would they need monoclonal antibody treatment if the vaccine works? Do you understand? It makes no logical sense. This is what happens when we devolve as a society into believing, or not, it's not even believing, it's the inability to use your own reason and basic knowledge of logic. You have to have some basic understanding of logic.
And a BS meter.
And a BS meter. Because this BS meter with Russia, this thing was going off from the beginning. If you believe this, you have no BS meter. You have no street smarts. You have nothing. You're dumb. You're dumb. I'm sorry. I don't mean that because you know me and I normally don't call. But you have got to be a naive idiot to have believed this. I don't care how many people were parroting it. Didn't even make any sense. None of it made sense. And to anybody who knows anything about intelligence, they were intentionally lying to you. Because none of this ever read like intelligence, like an intelligence product. It read like a very textbook smear campaign put together by some like mediocre journalists who now are hired guns for campaigns to dig up dirt on their political opponents. That's what it read like. It did not read like a professional intelligence assessment. It read like poor work of mediocre journalists who now just run shadowy smear firms to make lots of money smearing the political opponents of their clients. Come on. Not to jump from one to the other. But if you believe that he's withholding monoclonal antibody treatments because he wants it to be more equitable, then again, I got a collusion story to sell you.
Have a bridge.
You're on that level.
I can't.
It makes you, doesn't, I don't understand how I have to like explain this. Do you understand it makes zero, it's like the history of the dumbest things ever said? It's right up there with we need to force the unvaccinated to get vaccinated so we can protect the vaccinated against the unvaccinated.
Makes sense? No.
Said before, never. In the history of medicine. Said before, never. I'm not the one who has to believe evolving definitions.
I hate that.
That's what they're doing.
I hate that.
Lord, do you know how many times the CDC has changed the definition of vaccinated over the last 2 years?
Ugh.
Now it doesn't, I mean, now we have just a completely different understanding of what it means to be vaccinated. Then you must also believe that the vaccine was never intended to prevent infection. Yeah, I'm on, you know, I know I'm on the line. That says that, again, nowhere in the submission to the FDA. Go read it. Find me where Pfizer wrote to the FDA. It's public. Read it. Find some place in their submission where it says, you know, it's to prevent severe disease. Lies. That's a goalpost shift.
You can always depend upon government to lie to you.
I got a collusion narrative to sell you. I mean, honestly, it's the same people being duped over and over and over. It's just the same people.
And then instead of admitting...
And they won't admit it, they just fall on to the next dupe.
Yes. Because they don't want...
I literally just had somebody... It has nothing to do with the research, which I shared, which shows, and locals, you know this, we have all of these people at the border. That Latin America is the Lambda variant is prevalent in Latin America. That's the dominant strain of coronavirus in Latin America. None of these people are vaccinated, but even if they were, it won't matter. Because Lambda it escapes vaccine immunity. So, if this was all about public health, you would think that the border would be completely shut down right now. There's a variant south of the border which shows an enormous resistance to vaccine immunity. And in response to this idiot sends me what many people know now. It replies to me a fake graphic about how many people have been vaccinated, how many people have been infected, what percentage of each is infected. First of all, even if those numbers were true, and they're not, even if they were true, what the hell does that have to do with Lambda being able to escape vaccine immunity? What does it have to do with it? It's irrelevant to the point, you know? Wow.
It's a whole lot of special.
It's a lot of special. All right, we're going to come back after this break. I'm going to go take a water and coffee break. Man.
Oh, so you're making me coffee?
We're selling collusion theories on the other side of the break. All right? Let's see. I'll just make something up now. I mean, you guys believe anything. I'll just make something up now. Laura will yell at me if I do that. Laura will yell at me if I do that. I look up. I was about to say it. She knows me so well. She knows what I was about to say, and she looks over and gives me the eye, like, "Don't you dare!" But I mean, that's how stupid it is. I can make up anything I want, you know, like Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell's wife were colluding with Xi Jinping's like Saturday sex slave boy, and
it's Donald Trump's fault.
And that created a variant because Donald Trump said, because it's Donald Trump's fault. It's like it makes no sense and there's no connection at all. But it's Donald Trump's fault. Mm-hmm. All right, and it would believe it.
Because
they believe
Donald Trump went to China once.
In reality, all of these people said because Donald Trump Donald Trump had clients in Trump Tower from China. That's it. It's a smoking gun. Don't challenge me on it. Okay? Don't challenge me on it at all. I mean, it's just incredibly... We could just make up anything. People believe anything.
Or Joe Biden tripping up the steps 3 times. That was Donald Trump's fault.
That was Donald Trump's fault.
Because
Donald Trump put
watching the TV
He put horse paste on those stairs. He put ivermectin horse paste on those stairs before he left. All right? And it's Donald Trump's fault. I'll just tell you. We'll just keep going. Natasha, I have a story for you about that, by the way. It's an anonymously sourced story. But if you want to run that in Politico, I got you. Okay? Oh, my God. My God in heaven. All right, we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yep. Holy crap.
I mean, what more evidence do you need? It's very, very obvious, and it's really Occam's razor here. The fact that we still...
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. way to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a night, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind. Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away.
And we're back inside the numbers with the People's Pundit. Follow me at Getter now, at People's Pundit on Getter, at People's_Pundit on Twitter, and you can follow Laura at Laura Barris on Getter, and it's right in my profile. So give me a follow, give her a follow. And if you like this video, as always, hit the thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the thumbs down button. I don't really give a damn. All right, but subscribe, and then hit the notification bell. That will let you know when we're going to go live. All right. There's always an audio glitch here for a second while I bring in Don. So I'm going to bring in Don, my good buddy from the Don Smith Show. But before I do here, all right, you'll have audio now. But this always happens when I go to. As soon as I bring somebody in from it, it does that. And Don, buddy, you're gonna have a little bit of an echo until I fix it, just to let you know. All right, but
Happy birthday, Don.
And it is Don's birthday today. So when we do bring him on, everybody wish Don a happy birthday. That's in the corner of my screen. I'm not gonna ask him. Look, I don't give a damn how old I am. I'll tell you right now. I'm getting too old to care. Don, can you hear me, my friend? All right, let's go ahead and bring you on. All right, first of all, happy birthday, as always. Don and I are very close in birthdays. He's very close with Laura, too. But so, how you feeling today on I'm not going to ask you. How you feeling today on your birthday, my friend?
I'm feeling every bit of the 54.
Oh, he said it. He told you guys.
I
You're
did.
Feeling every bit of 54. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm gonna be 40 in a couple weeks here. You know,
You're just a kid.
I know you feel, but I don't feel like one. Although I guess that I'm happy that I am one because I was able to whip COVID. You know, and
I whipped it too.
Yeah,
even us old guys can whip it.
As long as you're take care of yourself, Don. It's so important to take care of yourself, Don. 2 years into this pandemic, and I can understand when the pandemic first started. And maybe now it's not the time to talk about certain things, but we're 2 years now into it, and we're not allowed or haven't been able to because of the stupidness of the topics that dominate our discourse over this pandemic. What is most important, which is Americans are not healthy. You know, we're obese. Right. Many smoke still, and I don't care. You know, do what you want to do. You know, but I think you're a smoker. You're a smoker, aren't you? And you whipped COVID.
Put me on the spot here.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I smoked for years, you know, but eating habits, you know, I had to look at one of the more ridiculous examples of what I'm talking about. It's like, get vaccinated and we'll give you a free Krispy Kreme donut. Get vaccinated and you can have like a Big Mac or something. Like, Don, really?
Yeah, the whole thing, you know, they've taken away their own credibility on all of this stuff throughout the entire process. Starting right off with, let's not forget, 2 weeks. We just need 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And here we are, 2 years later, and it's not going to end. It's never going to end. There's going to be multiple variants for the rest of our lives. This thing is never going to go away. I told you had made we were texting back and forth, and you were telling me kind of percentage-wise where you were at on feeling better. I don't think once you get it, I don't think you ever go back to 100%. I mean, there's times where I still, once in a while, I'll get a little, whatever, a little tired when I shouldn't be, things like that. So I think it's one of those things that all of us are going to live with for the rest of our lives all around the world. But nobody seems to want to hold anybody accountable for it. We all know where it came from. It wasn't Orange Man bad. It wasn't any of that stuff. We know exactly where it came from, but nobody seems to in the administration be even concerned about it.
Let me play something real quick, Don. Okay? Mm-hmm. Let me play something, and hopefully the other things don't play. I got them both off, and let's see if they do. For some reason, if you load up multiples in the same input, it just plays them both. So even if but listen to this nonsensical stupidity from the White House. Let's play this real quick.
The administration is cutting supplies in red states by 50%. So, for example, in Florida, they were expecting to get 70,000 doses this week, which they say they need. They're only getting 30,000 doses. And this is not just for unvaccinated people. In South Florida, half the people who are seeking this treatment are fully vaccinated. So why is the Biden administration cutting these supplies?
That's not accurate. So let me give you the accurate information. First of all, we are increasing our distribution this month by 50%. In early August, we were distributing an average of 100,000 doses per week. Now we're shipping an average of 150,000 doses per week. Over the last month, though, and one thing that I think people need to understand for clarity, facts, I know you're like facts, is that monoclonal antibodies are life-saving therapies that are used after infection to prevent more severe outcomes. So clearly the way to protect people and save more lives is to get them vaccinated so that they don't get the COVID to begin with.
They are vaccinated.
Given the rise in cases due to the Delta variant and the lower number of vaccination rates in some of these states, like Florida, like Texas, just 7 states are making up 70% of the orders. Our supply is not unlimited, and we believe it should be equitable across states across the country. There's
been no reports of a lack of supply, so why cut them to those states only if there's no reports?
I think our role as the government overseeing the entire country is to be equitable in how we distribute. We're not going to give a greater percentage to Florida over Oklahoma, nor do I think are you suggesting that. I think we have to move on. Go ahead, Yamiche.
Yeah, that's Don. First, she says, that's not what's happening. Let me tell you the facts where it's happening. All right, because nothing she said disputed what Emerald said at all.
Right.
That is, in fact, what they are doing. So she immediately, denies it, but then goes on to give an answer that clearly that is what they are doing. And number 2, it makes no sense. This equitable thing only makes sense in the mind of a socialist idiot. It doesn't make any sense in real world how we should be practicing the distribution of these antibodies. They go where they're needed, and they go where every state is different, Don. Every state has a different population. Some are, in Florida, we have a much more elderly population than some of these other states. And nothing she said responded to the central thing here. She is blaming Texas and Florida for not having high vaccination rates. It is illogical to give antibody treatment to the same levels to these states like Vermont, for instance, where they're much more vaccinated, because the vaccine is supposed to work. Okay, so it makes no sense what she's saying. It makes zero sense. It's illogical on its face, my friend. It's illogical. And thirdly, she did not respond to what Emerald's point was in South Florida specifically. But we just spoke yesterday with it's Ocala. That's Marion County. They just say that just saved the lives of 2 vaccinated people who are dying.
She actually did kind of respond. What she said was, and I know you're not suggesting that. Yes, she was suggesting that. Everybody, these are the people. Jen Psaki is the one who just came out, a month and a half ago, her and the U.S. Surgeon General, who came out and lectured us about information, disinformation, misinformation.
Yep, that's right.
And they're going to squash it, and they are going to boost trusted content. Nothing she said was trusted there. Nothing she said was scientific. Nothing aligned with anything that's reality. But that's what they're going to boost. And they're going to shut down anybody saying what you're saying or what I'm saying here. They're going to shut us down. So she did respond. She said, I know you're not suggesting that. Yes, she was 100% suggesting that. So the cure is get the vaccine after she was just told that many of these people are fully vaccinated.
Don, started 2 days ago. Really, I don't want to blow up their names or anything, but these are fully vaccinated people. And it was in a conversation because of somebody else who has COVID, and they were like, you gotta get her to get that monoclonal antibody treatment. I felt better the same day, and somebody else who felt better the next day. These are both vaccinated individuals, and they got Delta, and they are sick, man. They are sick. So nothing she says it's not making any sense at all. Nothing about the idea. Well, this is a treatment after infection. No kidding,
right?
Jackass. No kidding.
Right.
It makes no sense to hold this over their head. If you want them to get vaccinated, these people are vaccinated. This lie is going to fall apart, Don. Israel should tell them it's going to fall apart. Vermont should tell them it's going to fall apart. They can't keep fudging these numbers forever because they're going to run out of denominators.
Power, money, and votes. So if you always look at it that way, from a leftist standpoint, that's all they care about. This is an example of power. 2 weeks ago.
Yes, it's raw power, dude. They don't care if people die. They want to exercise their authority over.
2 weeks ago, Mayor Bill de Blasio said, human beings do better when there's a carrot and a stick.
Yep.
This is the stick. The carrot it's actually both. It's hey, you guys better get in line with our thought processes, with what we want you to tell people, or we're going to let your people die. Yeah. She's literally saying that equitable. You brought up that equitable. Wouldn't equitable be where there's the most cases, they get the most treatment? That would be equitable. But that's not the equitable they're talking about. It always comes down to, how do these people define something? Equitable to them means something different than to me. Fairness means something different to me. So it is what it is. It's the carrot and the stick, and they're going to smack people over the head with the stick. And if you die, so what? I'll say this, and I don't want to get you shut down here or anything, but I'll say this. These people on the left are hoping and praying that there are more deaths in Texas and Florida, because right now, Florida, today, one of the top trends is Florida is Vietnam. Aside from how incredibly disgusting and disrespectful that is to the men and women who served this country during the Vietnam War, it's insane. These people want people to die because the numbers in Florida don't match the narrative that they've been selling for over 2 years.
We were just looking at not annualized, but year over year. California versus Florida, and this week actually looked good. There was a spike, just like there was this week last year, and the drop in California is minimal compared to the drop in Florida. So once again, when all is said and done, despite the difference in the aging population, despite the difference in other mitigating factors that you would think would make Florida a much more difficult case to govern, it's going to outperform California again. I mean, regardless, per capita. And this idea they do, I don't know why it would get anybody shut down. They wanted Joe Rogan to die, Don. If you read the Twitter feeds from these psychos, they wanted him to die so they could say, this is what happens when you take horse paste. And I'm not going to say the name, but this is what they wanted. And, YouTube, they do have, anybody who says that word is in trouble. But I'll tell you, nobody seemed to care about the disinformation surrounding it when, the media did it. And their clips are all over YouTube. That was not what he was doing. And they were hoping and praying that Joe Rogan would die so they could say, told you. That's the kind of people we're dealing with here. They absolutely wanted Rogan to cork off, man.
Correct. Yes. Okay. This is the biggest difference right now between the left and the right. I have never wanted anybody to die, especially because of their political views, but just in general. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's the human thing. It's
Yeah.
this, you either are a human being
Yeah.
or you are not a human being.
That's
The,
right.
the ends justifies the means anything goes. Anything goes. I don't care if this person gets killed. In fact, like you said, they want him to die.
Yeah, they
Look
did.
at all the articles. Look at all the articles that were out this week about the conservative talk show hosts that are dying. Oh, this guy died.
That's why Laura Loomer is trending right now, my friend.
Yes.
They want Laura to die.
They're celebrating it.
They are celebrating it.
They're waiting.
It's sick.
Please let her die.
Yes.
That is not human. That is evil. That's what that is.
Yeah, man. I don't even know what else you call it. That is inhumane is what I tweeted, but it's more than that, man. There is no legitimate reason for the Biden White House to be doing what they are doing, other than they want to teach Floridians a lesson. You will obey, or we will prevent you from a treatment that could save your life. That is evil. And I'll tell you, man, something else. The bottom line is, I wouldn't, if you don't wear your seatbelt and you get in a car accident, right? Should we not treat you because you were in a car accident? If you're overweight and you have a heart attack, should you not get treatment because you are overweight? This is a very sick and dangerous time. And any of these doctors who would, talking to one who works for the VA, he was, most of the veterans at his hospital are vaccinated. It's probably 80%. But there are, he just never thought he'd live to a day where there would be colleagues who would say, you know what, screw this veteran, he didn't want to get vaccinated. So, Don, they should be thrown in jail. I don't know what else to say. It's against their oath, number one.
Yep.
But number two, what makes this pandemic different than everything else in life that we have been through? That, it's like, well, it's different. Oh, the seatbelt thing is, that's different. The heart disease and, obesity, that's different. No, it's not. It's not different at all. Why aren't we, have some mass campaign against obesity where we don't treat overweight people who have heart conditions or whatever it may be?
Diabetes. If you got your diabetes from being overweight, why should you get treated? This is why
this is politicized, and that other stuff is not. It's that simple. That's it, huh? That's it.
We had this debate, and this debate was called Obamacare. This is why you do not want any political party running your health care, because it can be anything. It can be, I think we did a test on you, your cholesterol's too high. So obviously you don't eat healthy, so you're out of here.
Yep.
We do not want this government or any government controlling our health care. When they did that,
Don, I thought health care was a right. Now they just spent 10 years saying health care is a right. Now they want to.
A right to them means that they get to dictate whether you get it or not.
Yeah.
So it's a right until it becomes a law, and then it's a privilege.
Weapon to my body.
That's why rights come.
Yeah.
Exactly. In 10 years, right, Laura? In 10 years, more than that. The left has been screaming "my body, my right" for years. Mm-hmm. My body, my choice. Now healthcare is a right. It's a right. While the right had been arguing that, well, you have no right to somebody else's labor, right? So it can't be a. But the bottom line is rights. Most Americans believe it's not a right-wing thing to say this. Most Americans believe that rights come from God, not from government. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't, if they believed that it was a right, they couldn't argue that they should have the ability to deprive you of it anyway. So this pandemic has gotten them to throw so-called key principles right out the window. So these are things they have been advocating, Don, for years, for years. And now all of a sudden, none of that matters to them. It's amazing because it's right up there with the support they have for Big Pharma. All of a sudden, they're just total shills for Big Pharma now. They live to get Pfizer, one of the richest companies in the world, apparently. They're trying to put Pfizer on par with Apple. Like that's their goal now or something. What the hell's wrong with these people?
Yep. Just look, okay, if you look at it this way, look, these guys will pass these laws, and I'm talking Congress, not even just the administration. They would pass these laws. So let's say they run our healthcare and they do exactly what we're talking about here, and they say, okay, you got to start eating healthier. Folks, 1984, you ever watch this where he's in the thing and they're, hey, you're not walking fast enough, you're not exercising enough. Remember this?
Yep.
Anyway, so they would pass a law. Jerry Nadler would get up in front of the microphone and say, from now on, if you're obese, you don't get any healthcare treatment. They would send Jerry Nadler up because this is how crazy this is. You think Jerry Nadler, you think he would get some healthcare? Yeah, I don't know if he had a stroke or something happened to him. Jerry Nadler will get the healthcare. Every other obese person in the country won't. Unless you're related to Jerry or, Nancy Pelosi's nephew, or then you'll get it. It's selective coverage for people they want to be covered. That was a great example, that clip you just played. They're going to decide who gets life-saving treatments and who doesn't, whether they need it or not. Is Oklahoma?
I know what the hell should bring up
right now?
Oklahoma for? I mean, that's ridiculous, Don. It's just totally ridiculous.
Yep. They're deciding. They're going to decide who lives and who dies. Folks, we are so far down this path right now, it is not even funny. 4 years, people called Donald Trump a dictator.
Yep.
You want to talk about a dictator. Holy cow, look what this guy's doing. This is unbelievable. Even now controlling who gets medical treatments.
Don, I don't know if you heard it before, but, they're really, and Laura and I had a long conversation about this yesterday when we were going over the Sussman indictment. And it's like, knowing all this other stuff that is just, they had these problems. He's a dictator. He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. And this was in their mind, Don. You understand? Like, none of this was real. And I don't know how much more you would need before you just feel like an idiot. You've been made a fool out of, a total fool of you. And if you still are hopping like leapfrog from one new outrage and virtue signal to the next in order to avoid having to come to terms which you were made fool of. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. These things were in their minds. And now here we have real examples. It is the economic definition and the political definition of fascism, what we are seeing now. A centralized government. Yeah, basically demanding the private sector do certain things with labor capital, do a production of goods, all of that. That is fascism. That is the real, not the made up, completely fabricated thing in your mind. That is the real definition of fascism.
Yep.
And for 4 years, like you said, we heard this, we heard that, we heard this, these were fictions, my friend. These were fictions. And they're silent in the face. Where the hell? The ACLU, and all these other people we heard, I don't even know what to say. It's like, it is Orwell, Don. It is, because you have to change reality to make this work.
The ACLU recently came out with a statement. I'm sure you saw this. It came out with a statement that said vaccine mandates are actually, they're not infringing on your civil liberties. Those are your civil liberties because it protects everybody else. This is a 180 from who these people are, who they've always said they were.
Half a century, Don. Right.
Yep.
A half a century, for crying out loud. They just completely flip-flopped.
We talk about people being silent. It's actually we're so far down the road right now that it's beyond them being silent. You've got somebody like Howard Stern, who last week or 2 weeks ago made the statement. He did the Arnold Schwarzenegger, screw your freedoms.
Schwarzenegger said screw. He said F your freedom.
He took it to another level. This is the guy who built an entire career off of being anti-establishment.
Anti-authority.
He's against the man. He's against the man. Well, as it turns out, it depends on who the man is. Now he's the first in line, and he's yelling at anybody else who's saying what he used to say before he became worth, I don't know, $1 billion or whatever he's worth now. God bless him, I'm a capitalist. But it's not even that they're silent anymore. It's look what they're doing with this Nicki Minaj thing. I don't even know any of her music. I've never heard her. I know who she is. Obviously I know who she is, but I don't know anything about her music. I don't care about her music. I don't care about her politics. She made a very lucid statement people should educate themselves. Here's where I'm at in the process. You should all make your own decisions. And look what they're doing to her. Oh, and all of a sudden, and that immediately makes her, of course, she's a right-wing nut. Yeah,
which is, of course, ludicrous. Same thing with Busta Rhymes. He was like, F your mask. I want to see faces. You know, he's like, I need to see your face again. You know, you're my brother. You're my sister. We're human. We can't behave like this. Human beings can't behave like. By the way, he's right. I mean, we are dehumanizing our society by doing this. And that, I don't know how people can't see this. It kind of reminds me of our Virtuous Republic, Don, years ago. Remember? This was, you can make a math equation out of this, folks. So the more, virtue and humanity wane, real virtue, not fake signaling, all right, wane from a free society, the more need you'll have for government. It's an inverted relationship between liberty and morality. This is why the founders, they believed in this so strongly. Like, you cannot have a free society without a moral society that values humanity and values human life. You just can't have it because it's too easy to find another, Don. You know, and I don't know if you saw the interview with Joe Ken I had before 9/11's 20th anniversary, but we were talking about this and he nailed it because, we can't look at the other humane for them to get what they want out of this.
Right.
So, there is no more common enemy. So somebody has to become that enemy. These people don't live or operate without enemies. That's what they do. They have to find another. And we're the other.
Yep. And if you step out of line, back to the Nicki Minaj thing.
Well, she'll go in the other category. It don't matter what you are. White, black, conservative, liberal.
You can agree with 99% of what they agree with, and it's that 1%. It's that one time you said something that's out of line, that's against the narrative, that goes against what they want people to believe, and you're done. And they don't want you you mentioned it earlier about Joe Rogan, right? They don't want you just canceled. They hope you die.
Kill you.
They hope you get it and die so that they can go, see, look at this. This is why you don't listen to these people like this. But they will decide who you listen to, who you do not listen to, and they wish the worst on people, and there's just no humanity in that at all. They're just not human.
It's not human, man. It's not, and it's not what this country is all about. It's funny. I was just talking to somebody. We're asking people whether or not they were going to get boosters, and about 20% of people who did get 2 doses say they're not getting the booster. Like, the hell's the point? Like, so I don't think they were. There's 20%. They're going to have a whole new problem on their hands, is my point. Right? So once they're done trying to scare everybody into taking it or whatnot, then they're going to have to reconvince all of these people that they need these boosters. And about 20% told us they're not getting it. It's not happening. I did everything you asked me to do, and if it worked, I wouldn't need a booster. Right? Bottom line, that's the way they feel. And they're going to have so once they're done, dehumanizing the unvaccinated, then they're going to eventually turn those who won't comply continuously into the problem. Then you'll be the problem. You'll be next.
They'll be the target.
Yes, and then you'll be the target next. You'll be the new one.
When Joe Biden gave his tyrannical speech about how he's doing the mandate, so I talked about it on my show the week before.
Don, I'm losing my patience. Don.
He did the jobs report thing, right? So he did the jobs report thing, and the month before it was good, and that was because people were being vaccinated. The following month it was bad because not enough people are vaccinated. There were more people in the second jobs report who were vaccinated than there were on the first one when it was good because people were being vaccinated. But he made a statement in that, and he said, I've got to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated.
Yeah.
That statement alone is so incredibly detached from reality. How does that to anybody make any sense? But he made another statement a week before in his speech. It is my job as the president to protect all Americans. 1 week later, he's trashing he's dividing the American people. It's only now about protecting, instead of all Americans, it's only about protecting vaccinated Americans. There was a guy in Germany once who used to give speeches and say, this is
Damn
what's
right.
best for all the American, or for all the German people. Okay, some of those German people ended up on trains going to death camps. So when they tell you that it's for all the American people, never believe any politician who tells you that. And Joe Biden revealed himself within a week. It's only about the vaccinated people.
Yeah, Don, and they also, this is a group of people who had said, just a month before that, it is not the federal government's job or role to force people to get a vaccine. It was not their job. And they have completely done an about-face. Anytime a political leader says that they have to protect one part of the country against another, that talk, like you said, we've heard that talk before. I am not, I say this, but it's true. I don't like using, the Hitler things, but this is an appropriate use of that, because I heard in that speech, I heard him put the Jewish star on the chest of the unvaccinated. That is what he was doing. And I mean, folks, they are badly lying about the numbers and manipulating the hell out of case numbers now in order to make this whole narrative fit. And I don't know if I can say it, on here, but it is not true, Don. The main narrative is not true. The literature does not bear out that this is the unvaccinated causing all of our problems. Let me just
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It's not possible, Don. It's not.
Then the vaccine doesn't work. It makes no sense.
Well, don't
right?
you know? Don't you know?
If it works, you don't have to protect them. Isn't that the whole idea of getting this thing? Is you're protected. So if they've got to take other measures to protect you once you've got it, that's supposed to be the protection. It makes no sense.
They're trying to, and like they had, you said it before, what happened in 15 days to slow the spread. This has been a first, just one first after the other. And there are people who are just swallowing it every time the goalpost shifts.
Yep.
Nowhere in the Pfizer submission to the FDA does it say this product will reduce transmission and reduce disease severity. That is not what it says. And nobody who was involved in Operation Warp Speed could seriously go to the camera now and say, our goal was to get a product that reduced the severity of the disease.
But
that is not what it was supposed to do. And by the way,
it created distance from people.
But what I'm saying is it was supposed to prevent infection.
Yes, I know.
Let's get real.
It didn't, and then they kept moving it, and what it only did was create families to fall apart. Children to be more abused. Starvation.
Well, that's next, by the way.
But
that's next. The children will be next, 12 to 15. Even though, Don, most recent literature, I did tweet it out too, but the most recent literature, that's our son. In that literature,
they want to
that's
give
our son.
my
The
son
most at
permission
risk
to take a shot. Who in the fish and chips do you think you are?
The most at-risk group that they studied for adverse effects were boys 12 to 15 years old. So
they not only want to make healthcare decisions for your children, it's the Melissa Harris Perry thing. People have to understand these kids don't belong to them. They belong to the community. They really believe this. They not only want to make healthcare decisions for your children.
Right.
They want to decide what gets pumped into the heads of your children with the CRT and all. They are so offended by parents standing up for what their kids are being taught and wanting a say in what their kids are being taught. The pandemic was the worst thing that ever happened to them for pushing their educational indoctrination that they've been doing for years, because parents got a whiff of it and went, I got 2 grandkids now who are being homeschooled because of it. Because the parents were like, what are you teaching? Whoa, you're not teaching my kids that.
Well,
and they
Don,
made their own decision.
I'll be honest with you right now. They force this onto children and for public schooling, secondary schooling, our kids are out. They're out.
Yep. Did you guys see
I'm homeschooling in an instant.
They're out. Yep. I'll be honest with you. And it's not, I wish I could pull it up right now and show you. But, I'll do something on locals about it. I mean, I trust my own work, Don. I trust my own work. I don't give a damn what anybody says. What are those people just lying?
Yep.
They're just lying? No, they're not lying. Those people haven't been heard, sadly, because of the inability to have free and fair discussions in this country now about these topics. We're no longer able to have honest debate. We're not allowed to put forward all of the information. This is why, we can't ever have a reasonable conclusion to this thing, even if it was possible, because we're not hearing from the best and the brightest. We're just not. I mean, certain people are being muted no matter their resumes, which really should scare everybody. I mean, by the way, Fauci is not the most qualified man to even be in that position, right? I mean, this is crazy. You know how many people we have spoken with who have called that man, like, he is getting credit for his work on HIV that they don't even believe he has responsible. He's undeserving of that credit. Undeserved.
He's a TV character.
That's it, man.
He's a TV
They can't
character.
stand him.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. Yeah. Did you guys see the clip of the in Australia? Because Australia, man, they're like a light year ahead of us right now.
So much for that freedom. So much for that freedom.
We're trying to catch up to Australia here, which is really scary because if you see what's going on there. So a couple of weeks ago, there's a video, and it's there's this high school. So all the kids must be vaccinated. They're going to do it in the school. They're going to vaccinate these kids in school to make sure everybody gets it. So there's an outrage from the parents. And again, they're not your kids. They belong to the community.
Everybody.
So the head of their health department over there gets on TV and says, folks, don't worry. Just drop your kids off, and no, you will not be allowed inside the school, but don't worry about it. It's going to be very professional. And he actually said, to ease their minds, he said, don't worry, there will be representatives of the youth leadership present to keep an eye on your kids. The youth leadership? Wasn't there another? I don't want to go back to the Germany thing, but didn't they have a youth group too? But the youth leadership group. Oh my God, who are these people? So don't worry about it. Just drop your kids off, go home. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. No, get your kids out of those schools right now. My goodness gracious, folks, these are your kids, and you have the responsibility. The community doesn't take responsibility when your kid does something wrong, or your kid's not learning, or truant, missing school, or that's your responsibility. They will hold you personally responsible. So you don't get to pick and choose and say, well, now there are kids. And in this case, there are kids, but when there's punishment involved, they're your kids. So this is insane. People need to wake up. They have lost so much credibility throughout this process. Fauci's worried about people losing faith in science, and it's losing credibility. Well, of course, duh. You're the
face of it.
You're the face of it.
Don, we didn't get a chance to talk about that. Since the Intercept got those 900 pages, pure and simple, Don, he lied to Rand Paul, and he had tried to pivot into a question of whether or not those were that specific. With the gain of function research that he had funded, that he facilitated, whether or not that led to this specific coronavirus. First of all, I think we're going to find that that's likely the case, but number one. But number two, that's not the central question anyway. You see how he was trying to pivot away from it. Gain of function is illegal in this country now. And what Rand Paul's main central point is that he was using foreign entities through the National Institute of Health, funding of from the NIH. He was using national entities to circumvent U.S. law. And that is the central point. Anything else he tries to argue after that is just attempting to obfuscate the central question.
Yep.
We haven't had a chance to talk. I'm curious to get your thoughts. We haven't had a chance to talk about that because I wasn't on.
Well, yeah. Why do you think they're so angry with Rand Paul? Why do you think he has become the face of the anti-vaxxer crowd? Because he asks actual questions that everybody else should be asking. Did you see the hearing here this week where he asked Blinken? He said, so a very simple question that they should absolutely know. Did you kill an aid worker?
Yeah.
Or did you kill an actual Al Qaeda terrorist in your drone strike, and his kids and all the innocent people that were standing around him. We're reviewing it. So you won't tell us, or you don't know? He says, we don't know.
You know what that means as a former military guy, Don. They killed people. They killed innocent people. They killed the family. They killed it. According to the domestic sources, it was a family of 9, including 6 children, 2 under the age of 12 or something. I mean, anytime the U.S. military says we killed 2 operatives, and they won't give names, they won't give specifics, they're full of crap, and they killed the wrong people. And they don't care because they're going to. And as a matter of fact, that was Julian Assange's original sin, which was publishing, classified papers that really just embarrassed the U.S. State Department and Pentagon because they were lying about, killing that Reuters journalist and his cameraman. They killed them. Countless others, and it was just that whole wealth of evidence that he put out there. That was the original reason they started to hate Julian Assange, because he proved they were lying, and they knew. And by the way, also, he had the documents that clearly showed they knew the war was not going well, and they were lying about it. Go ahead, though. You got some more. Speaking of, you said questions. I was trying to hit a bunch just in the conversation.
No.
You got late to the ball game, sister.
You were late to the ball.
You're also looking at multiple venues. I'm looking at one. All right, go ahead.
Pulkit. Questioning my decision to come to the U.S. legally and work for a living.
I'm sorry, Pulkit.
It might have been easier just to walk in and get free everything.
I don't know what to tell him. I mean, it's the fact of the matter. He said, I'm questioning my decision to come into the U.S. legally and work for a living. Oh, I lost. Did I lose you, Don?
No, it's like really bad echo, so it's really hard
I may have I turned it around on so they could hear Laura. Give me the question. Give me the questions, and I'll read them. But yeah, he said he was questioning, the decision to go into the country and legally and work for a living, because there's just what's going on at the border right now, among other places.
You could have got free everything
with the Afghan refugees too. These aren't refugees, man. These aren't refugees.
But here's
they stuffed as many people on a plane as they could. I'm sorry, Pulkit. I don't know what to tell you. I wish I had a better, more fair, merit-based response to give you. I don't, man. I don't. They insult people like you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Here's my question for Rich and Don. If you can squeeze it in, do you think that breakthrough cases are underreported? It sure seems that they that way because it rips their narrative.
Yes, I absolutely do, without a doubt. And in fact, without jumping the gun on any of this, I was reading somebody's review, Don, because I said before as a joke they're going to run out of denominators to continue up this lie, and that's where part of that came from. I'm reviewing somebody else's work. The numbers don't make sense, Don. They simply don't make sense.
None of it does. None of this from day one. None of this makes sense. This is what's driving me crazy about this whole pandemic thing. Is none of it makes sense. I gave the one example about that we got to protect the vaccinated. The vaccinated, the ones that are supposed to be protected, we've got to protect them against the unvaccinated. If they're vaccinated, what do you have to protect them from? Or what's the purpose of the vaccine? None of it makes sense. The numbers don't make sense. We know of instances here in Florida where a young man was killed in a motorcycle accident, COVID. This person had this COVID. This person had this COVID. Every single thing is COVID. We've got stories down here that they're stacking bodies to the ceiling in the crematoriums because they can't burn the bodies fast enough.
Oh,
please. This has been going on for 2 years now. Florida has been the hot spot. It's been, oh my God, we're dropping dead left and right here in Florida. Then at some point, we would have taken the lead in the number of deaths. We're not even close. Our rate, I've been following this since day one.
New York and California.
And we're exactly where we've been. We're exactly where we've been throughout this whole thing.
Right. That's right. And Florida is having the comparable dip again from last year in deaths, 7-day rolling average in deaths that we saw last year. It's like an identical percentage, 23%.
Yep.
It's an identical percentage, Don. Meanwhile, California and New York are not. By the way,
Joe Biden said to the American people, He said that Texas and Florida were the two least vaccinated states. At the time, the day he said that,
Wyoming is the least vaccinated state.
at the day he said that, at the very time he said that, Florida was the 18th most vaccinated state, and Texas was the 28th most vaccinated state.
He's a liar. He's a disgusting liar. Another thing, by the way, with Donald Trump, he used to say things that were not true. Like, for instance, let me give you a for instance real quick. When he would talk about election fraud with mail-in voting, the gist of what he was saying was true, but he would say it and make details would be wrong. Joe Biden lies about big things. Central big things. It's not like a logistical error, Don, or or he got a detail wrong. No, he's a liar.
Thank you.
That's it. What I was alluding to before is that we're starting to look at specific populations where we can actually verify whether they're saying, well, 95, 98% of the new caseload is unvaccinated people. We have already done enough in one area because it has to be the population itself in question has to be where it's demonstrable. So we can show, we know this many people are here. We know this, and it's just not true. So they're playing games with the numbers of who they're determining to be vaccinated or not, because the numbers just don't add up. They simply don't add up. So you're telling me nobody had alpha at all? I mean, these are the problems they're running into. So you have to compensate, you have to factor this in. And they are playing little games like as if there's no such thing as natural immunity or, so that could be a reason for some of these things. They're just throwing all of this out the window. But there'll be more and more of these as time goes on. And it just simply does not add up. It doesn't make sense. And he lies about all of this stuff, and he's making all of these fake little statistics up. And he filled his speech with them to support the large lie, which is that this is only because of the unvaccinated. And we know that's not true.
One of the characteristics of leftists is, so you're right, he lies about big things, but he also lies about small things that don't mean anything. There's no gain from...
Like the trip to the synagogue.
The trip to the synagogue. Used to drive an 18-wheeler because he said a Mack
used to drive an 18-wheeler. That's one of Laura's person.
He lies about things. It makes absolutely no sense that he would lie about these things because there's no gain from it. So he gets like a short gain because the people in the plant go, oh, wow, really? But he lies about things that make first person in his family to go to college. He went on a full academic scholarship. None of those things are true, and they don't make him look any better. It's not like people go, well, that's why I voted for him, because he used to drive an 18-wheeler. So they lie about the big things, but they lie about the little things. So if you're a Joe Biden supporter, where do you believe him? Where is the...
right.
What is true? Because nothing he says is true. So
at least there was always that axiom with Donald Trump that Rush coined, and he was right, which is that some of these little things with Donald Trump, you don't take them seriously. But when it comes to the big stuff, he is deadly serious, that's not even true with Joe Biden. There's just nowhere where something is, okay, we're out of line and Joe wouldn't lie about that, kind of thing, or, he's not mistaken. It's, Donald Trump would say something he just said something out of turn or something, or didn't use the right terminology, or padded it or something. Right. But this is very different with Joe Biden, where there is no line.
Right.
It could be something trivial and dumb and a lie, or it could be something just huge and it's a lie. It just doesn't matter. And there's no way to discern the difference. Go ahead, though. I see you chomping at a bit.
Yeah, well.
Go ahead.
Friday, man. So this is a pretty cool question. What's your favorite electoral/voting system? Proportional, first past the post, MMR, runoff, instant runoff, preferential, etc. Over the years, I've become increasingly supportive of FPTP.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like any of most of them that you just said. No, I don't believe in ranked choice even. I don't like any of that. I don't. There's too many ways to play games, and we should be. Yeah, I mean, look, I like. This is going to sound horrible, but I'm a minimalist and a winner-take-all guy. Meaning, I would probably, if I had the chance, Don, I would probably I would revamp the whole system. I would give it all back. I would. I don't need to vote for my senator, do you? I don't. I don't even need to vote for my president. That was not how it was supposed to be. You know, no, man, let the House deal with that. You know, I'm serious. I'm not that. I am not somebody who thinks the founders were mistaken and that they were just trying to hold people down and not give them like the one vote, one voice kind of thing. That's crap. They had a very logical, sound reason for minimizing who we vote for. And I think that we should vote on a winner-take-all basis for those closest to us, and then the rest should operate as a republic was designed to operate. And we took that away, and it was the greatest mistake we ever made. I mean, that's just the way, twice. That's the way I feel about it. And I would happily give up my popular vote right in a second. I mean, but I don't know about you, Don. I'm good voting for my House of Representatives and my state legislatures. Governor, you can vote for governor. That's all right.
Yeah. I want us all to have a vote. I guess for me, what I'm concerned about what's happening, and we certainly saw that this time, is I'm concerned about the technology. And I'm concerned about that on not just in the voting, but just to keep it to voting. I'm concerned about all this technology stuff because it's not as cut and dry as I believe paper ballots. Just go back to the paper ballots. I don't care about the hanging chads, and we'll figure that stuff out. Go back to the paper ballots and make it so that I can go and say, I want to see my ballot. Right now, it's all computer, it's all on a chip, and it's all this stuff, and it's almost impossible for anybody to get access to it. It's easy to destroy. It's easy, and we've seen this over and over again. It's easy to produce numbers. It's easy to manipulate. I'm a paper ballot guy. Let's go back to, we don't need to be super technological on everything. Look at some of these other countries, and we call them third world countries, but the blue finger and all that. I'm for is making it as simple as possible and as verifiable as possible. And after what we just saw in this last election, I would think a lot of people think that way too. I don't know.
Yeah, Don. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm absolutely with you on simplicity. I think that there is a danger to make things more complicated than they need to be. And let's see, do I actually have this? I wanted to get your take on this, but I guess I don't have it where I could put us side to side to see it. But California, I need to get your take on California. There's always shenanigans in California, but 30 points I don't believe was shenanigans. It got away from them. It did. Myself, Spencer, others, the race was closer about 6 weeks ago. And it got away from them because look, you can't, it's hard when you let 40 years go by and all of this impact of 40 years happen. It's hard to expect one thing to change right? To one thing to lead to some big significant reversal. And I think that I'm going back and looking at some of these independents, a lot of these independents and Democrats. Many of them wanted to vote yes, Don, and in the end, Gavin Newsom had a disparity in his advantage with money and everything. Mm-hmm. He was able to scare the hell out of people back to their corner.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from some of the people that actually are in California. I'm curious to the frequency of the ads, the content of some of these ads that were running out there, because they had a huge war chest.
Yeah, I was told it was overwhelming.
I'm sure it was. And I think they just beat people into into submission. Don't even bother. You're wasting your time. They came out with all the things. There's no scenario that he's going to lose and all these kind of things. So how many people were beaten into submission, kind of like the George W. Bush thing, in Florida when they were, no, the polls are closed. Don't even bother. So what did that do? I don't know. But I wonder about that. And I'm sure it was overwhelming, the ads. Obviously, huge war chest. And people need to think about this. If you're in California and you're a middle-class worker or a union worker, you're a whatever minimum wage worker, you're listening to the elite. The elitists in this country. You're listening to Hollywood people, Rob Reiners, and all these people who the rules don't apply to them. We've seen this throughout the pandemic. So maybe, just maybe, you stop listening to these people who have nothing in common with you. They don't care about you. They're not human, so they have no human emotions towards you. They don't care about you. They see you as pawns. They see you as rubes. So maybe stop listening to those people. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, I think that there were a lot of people who pointed, afterward, pointed, at the California Republican Party that they didn't do crap for us, and that's true. I mean, it typically is. I mean, they haven't done anything for 4 decades, Don. I don't understand what people expected them to do this time around. I just don't, you have an identity crisis, and there were people who would have, and by the way, Larry Elder did phenomenal. So this idea like Larry Elder was some bad candidate or something, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. He is going to end up with more of the percentage of the recall vote than Arnold Schwarzenegger, who freaking won. So, I mean, some of these people use very inaccurate historical analogies, and by the way, look at California 16. It voted yes to remove him. You think Republicans are going to take their heads out of their butt? California 21, 48, it's the same old thing. San Diego and Orange County voted to keep him. And this is how they've been retreating to their little Southern California boundary for all these years. You know and I know defense is a losing strategy, my friend. It's a losing strategy. And you have to find somewhere to play offense. I am, as far as I know, the only one who even made mention of Merced and Fresno. Those were that was Biden plus 11 in Merced and Biden plus 8 in Fresno. What, they don't see an opportunity? Men voted just like white men. Hispanic men voted just like white men. Doesn't anybody see the importance of that? I mean, it's just incredible, man. I mean, these people are not very quick at catching on.
Look at the whole thing again too, because this is the thing. It's just like we were talking about with the vaccinated versus we got to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. You've got a bunch of old white men, politicians, Hollywood, all these people, a bunch of old white men calling Larry Elder the face of white supremacy. And people go,
that's it. Yeah.
He'd be bad for the minority communities. Come on, people, wake up. How does that process? How can you hear that and process that and say, yeah, I better vote for the old white guy? It's insane, man.
That's because I'm telling you, he was colluding.
Larry's a good man.
He was colluding with Aunt Jemima to rob Uncle Tom's cabin. That's it. And you don't have any evidence to prove it otherwise. So I'm running with that. I mean, you really have to believe something so ridiculous. But you know what? It is a start of something, which is what I've been telling people who have been asking me. Look, California is a long-term problem for Republicans. It didn't become the land of, it was twice Nixon, twice Reagan. It did not turn into this blue state overnight, folks, and it's not going to turn back into a purple state even overnight. I mean, it would take massive, massive changes. I tend to think, and I know it's draconian, but I tend to think when I look at the impact from migration out of that state into other battleground states like Texas and Nevada and, in Arizona, let it fail. Let it fail. If you can go. And, Ted Cruz would not be the senator from Texas right now if it wasn't for new arrivals and migration out of California. So we have shown that now many, many times. So go ahead, Laura. Go ahead.
I don't know if you got. What do you think of China's $300 billion real estate bank going under? Do you think that will affect us?
Well, I mean, the world is interdependent. I mean, I actually don't know. I don't know if you've heard about any more of that, Don. I haven't.
No,
I haven't. But the world is interdependent financially. I mean, anything that happens in China is going to affect us somehow. Mm-hmm. I'd have to look at their holdings and where they had real estate. Were they like a REIT? I mean, real estate investment trust, or did they hold physical properties? I mean, that's very different.
Well,
I don't know.
For you can elaborate on that question. TPB wants to know: does Rich know anything about polling firms in Canada?
I answered this already.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't. I don't. Doesn't particularly look like that. I found. I don't know who asked that.
TPB.
That's somebody else. for somebody else had asked me if I would look and find one, Don, I mean, they've had their fair share of pretty bad misses, but they're not as horrible as us. Maybe that's because they have writings, and they have like a national vote share, but it's not there are not that many opportunities to screw up. But I just don't know them enough to say, all right, this one does a good job. I don't know them enough, I don't know.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, I don't either.
And there's not that, it's funny, in a lot of these other places, it's not like here, where, like my old adage, there are too many polls and not enough pollsters in the United States. There are. I mean, there just are. That's not really the case in a lot of these other places.
Yep.
You got more?
Oh yeah, I got tons.
Yeah.
Usually
Oh, it's 1:05.
you elaborate.
I'll give you. Let's do. We got time for like one or two more, Don?
Sure.
All right. Between this, the fake Russia Gate scandal, and Milley's unlawful usurping presidential authority, do the elites not see that they are undermining the very institutions they control?
Don, that Milley story, man, he should be charged. He should be charged. I mean, folks, this is not hyperbolic. What he is even, if that's true, if he did that, he needs to be charged and stripped of his uniform. I mean, he's a traitor. That's it. He's a fucking freaking traitor. I mean, there's no other way around. Don, you were in the military. Could you imagine?
No. Yeah, the one thing.
It's treason, Don. It's treason.
Okay. So one thing, actually, technically, according to our Constitution, and it is Constitution Day, so we'll go with that. But yeah. So anyway, in the Constitution, it's only treason if we're at war. So if we're officially at war. So they wouldn't be able to charge him with that. But absolutely. This is all the people on the left who talk about January 6th and the coup. And folks, this is what a coup looks like. It's called a soft coup, and it's a military coup.
But you have to be at war with that entity. Can't you just be at war?
Well, yes, you have to officially be at war. Right now, we are not officially at war. So technically, it's a technicality.
Oh, right, because it's official, and we don't really have a declaration of war for the war on terror or anything like that. Yeah, okay.
So totally not sticking up for this guy. What needs to happen with this guy immediately, they need to be investigating not just Milley. They need to investigate anybody who participated in this, because this is unacceptable. This is our founding fathers created this great nation. They created it so that stuff like this didn't happen. This stuff happens in Egypt, and I mean, this isn't America. We have so many safeguards that are supposed to protect this exact thing from happening.
That's right.
So what happened to those? What happened to the safeguards? But not just Milley. Anybody who knew, anybody who was involved in any of these phone calls, anybody who was involved in not reporting this back to the White House.
I know.
You're not going to sit down with the president of the United States. This guy made himself king. He made himself king, and he felt like he was running this country, and he probably still feels that way.
He'd have been tarred and feathered, Don. He'd have been tarred and feathered. If something like this happened, even if they went, forget about the Chinese back in their day, it could have been the French ambassador or something. I mean, anything behind the back of Washington, he'd have tarred and feathered somebody. Are you kidding?
It wasn't just China too. So I think at the beginning of the question, it was about the fake Russian collusion thing. It wasn't just China. He was talking to Russia too, doing the same thing with them. We don't do that. We don't do that. We don't say, hey, our president's kind of crazy. He's saying he did this to create, they haven't officially said that, but the message they're putting out, the messaging, and I always look at the messaging, is they're trying to say he was trying to create stability. He was the one creating the instability by suggesting to these leaders that there was something wrong with our president, and he might nuke them, and he might.
Yeah,
that's insane. Something needs to be done. He needs to, right now, they need to replace him on a temporary basis with somebody of equal or higher ranks. I would prefer somebody of higher rank, and complete an investigation on him. That investigation, I think we already know how that would turn out. And then, yes, he is subject to the UCMJ, just like you were, just like I was, just like every single person.
Don, he jumped the chain of command at the very least, at the very least. And
Benedict Arnold.
for those, he's a Benedict Arnold. That's right. I mean, for those who really don't understand what he did, it's extremely serious. And if in my day, I would have fully expected to have been drawn up on charges and court-martialed and stripped and thrown, and at the very least, I mean, doing some kind of time, and I'm dishonored. I'm a disgrace to the uniform. I mean, that's it.
His actions were traitorous. They just don't fit the legal definition, the constitutional definition of of treason. But they were traitorous. Don't get me wrong, completely traitorous.
Yeah, and the more we find out about this idiot too, we got, and it's amazing because some of these are left-wing outlets that are going after him now. But the things he told Donald Trump about don't worry, the George Floyd protests, this is over nothing, much to do about nothing. They're gonna fizzle out. I mean, this guy's an idiot. He's not He didn't say that on accident. He really believed that. He's a dumbass. I mean, the guy is not capable or competent to have that job. You know, Don, I mean, this is the sad thing. It's like these men, their roles are to protect us from great power conflict, and they would never be able to do that. We would lose with these guys at the helm. I'm sorry. I really hate to admit that, but I think China would whoop our ass right now, Don. I do, man. And I don't even think it would be that. I don't think it would be that much of a struggle.
Look at Afghanistan. The
Bagram. I know. It hurts me to say that. You know it does, but we're pathetic. We're sad-ass excuses of what we used to be. We're not worthy of the men who came before us. We're just not.
Sad to say.
Yeah, what were you going to say? I mean, I interrupted.
I was just gonna say the Bagram thing. So there was. I never believed that Milley actually thought that was a good idea to close Bagram. I thought, no, I'll bet you there's going to be a book coming out, and we're going to find out that he stood on Biden's desk and screamed at him, "Don't close Bagram." And then I found the clip. Of him explaining why before they even closed it.
Yeah.
Why it was a smart idea to close it and move everything to the Kabul airport. And so, yeah, this guy is massively incompetent. He is massively not prepared for that job, and he thinks he's king.
Yeah. Yeah, and worse, he obviously feels more allegiance to the Chinese and others than our own elected president. I mean,
That's scary.
It's completely terrifying, but it does reinforce what we have known, which is what I've told people was a major lesson of the Trump presidency, which is that these people really do think elections are charades. So forget about whether or not they would rig one. They would in a second. They have no respect for voter sovereignty whatsoever. And they even when, they were forced to listen to you, they decided they were going to go about their own business. They were going to do this their way. And they didn't really care who you decided you wanted to lead you as a nation.
You know, one thing that's really important for people to understand, and I don't know if there's anybody out there that's on the left that is a Biden supporter that's watching this right now, but let's clear this up right now. We know that people like Milley, people like Hollywood people, the Gavin Newsoms, the on and on, the Cuomos, we know they view us as the unwashed masses. Yeah. The difference between us and the leftists is they don't know that they view them that way too.
Yeah, right. Then they haven't figured that out yet. That's exactly right. They think they're part of the club. This is the funny thing. That's why we call them wannabe elites. And we've been calling them for that for a while because they really don't get it. Right. You're not in the cool club. You're no different to them. You're still the unwashed man is a great way to put it, but you are not part of the rich and well-born. All right, you're not getting it. You're not getting your invite to the Skull and Bones anytime soon, fools. Okay, I mean, in fact, you're always the first ones to get put up against the wall when the time comes because they really they have to remember the promises they made to you, and they have no intention of fulfilling those promises.
I'll give Combs that.
Alan was a good guy. Alan was a good guy. I miss Alan. I gotta tell you, Alan Combs.
You remember when you told him you're just a puppet?
Alan and I used to talk all the time. I was like, but Alan, you just. I remember that. conversation. I was like, Alan, but I mean, you know this, buddy. You're just a puppet. You know. He's like, Yeah, I get it.
Something.
I admit it. He's like, but I know it. But I know it, so it makes me feel better about it, because he believed in it anyway. So it's like he was all right being a puppet as long as he was helping to further the cause.
But he said somebody has to be.
Somebody has to be. Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Too.
But he was at least he was. I always found him to be. He was at least an honest guy.
Yep.
Right? You know what I mean? He was.
Well, I worked with Victoria Jackson back in. Used to do her PR. I still do some of her PR for her, but he used to love to have her on. So I give him a lot of credit because he would have real conservatives on, and he would have real conversations with them. He wasn't afraid to have them on, and he poked fun at her, and she poked fun right back at him. So it was kind of a playful thing. But I gave him a lot of credit for he had her on quite frequently. So I had some interaction with his team and all that. But I give him credit for that. There's very, very little of that out there anymore on the left.
Yeah, he used to share a lot of our polling work. He'd ask me a lot about, what's the latest, and one of the things I remember, one of the last ones I gave him was about Mitt Romney and, the difference between the direction Republicans wanted the party to go. And there were a lot of polls out saying, well, if Mitt Romney wins, he's a shoo-in for the 2016 nomination. And we had just basically showing they wanted to go in a different direction. And he actually did talk about that he's like, well, on his show. He said, look, well, I got this other poll, and somebody is going to be wrong. Someone's going to be really wrong. So there's clearly people who want Mitt Romney to run and think that, it's his turn again and he should get another shot. And then there are people who think that the party should move in a very, very different direction. Well, we were right. They were wrong. We were right. I can't remember what the other poll was that he cited, but it showed Mitt Romney would win like 70% of the vote. This was a ridiculous amount. I said, Alan, that's not even realistic. It's going to be a very large field this year. It was that, the 2016 year. But it was before obviously the nomination itself. And I swear, one thing we know for certain is that there will be a lot of different candidates. And it's not even realistic Mitt Romney would be able to consolidate that entire, even if there weren't this many people pissed that he lost. And that was what part of the poll was anger, Republican anger, that, basically, you said he was the only one who could win. Now we think he's basically the biggest loser ever, and yeah. Well, the rest is history now, isn't it?
And he continues to be.
We could do one more. I am starting to lose a little bit of my voice, but he continues to be. Go ahead, last one. Go ahead.
All right. So Jack Posobiec said on his new podcast, Durham indictment represents a power shift in D.C. Do you think that is the case, or is the lawyer being charged as a low-level pawn being charged for PR like Kevin Kleinsmith was?
This is not a Kleinsmith-like indictment. But I'm not sure, Don, whether or not Sussman is being charged for making a fool out of the FBI, whether it's less about getting to the truth or some kind of paradigm shift and more about don't you ever freaking do this to us again. Because we're going to show you. What do you think? I think we don't know the answer to that yet. That's my best guess. What's your think, Don?
I got to put this in the category that I guess I put everything in today is none of this makes sense. That where was Durham? We were expecting something quite a while ago from him. This is also obvious to all of us, the unwashed masses. We saw what happened. We saw what they did. We knew the Clintons were behind it. We knew John McCain had a hand in it. We know all of these details. I don't need to be a super duper prosecutor or investigator to figure this stuff out. So where the hell is Durham been? I don't know what his game is. Everybody's got a game, as we're finding out right now about General Milley. Take any of them, Kirby, all of them. They all have a game. What's their game? That's really the only investigation is what's their game. So is he doing this as a PR thing? Is he doing this as I just wanted to show you I did something. I don't know. I don't trust any of these people anymore on anything. I figure anything they tell us, it's the opposite. And it's been working out for me.
I think you're wise to have that level of caution because Don's right. Everyone's got something they want, And sometimes, as sad as it is the truth. These indictments are not used for justice. They're used to get something that they want, or lack of indictment, for instance. So Sussman, nothing in this report, and I said this in the beginning, guys, Don is 100% right. Nothing in this report is new. Mm-hmm. We all knew they laundered that Perkins Coie laundered that BS, not just this story, Don, others as well, that they laundered this garbage information to the FBI and then played the media like Natasha Bertrand as fools, Maggie Haberman at New York, at the New York Times. These were all fools. They were happy to play those roles, but none of it's new. I mean, yeah, you could make the argument Sussman is a pretty key guy to indict, and then he'll rat on somebody, maybe. I mean, I guess you could, but he's not. I don't think he really has. Yeah, these people have friends. Read the indictment, and it'll make you even more sick to your stomach if you read through all the way, more than we did. They all play musical chairs with each other, folks. In fact, we only got the Mueller investigation because it was people like him who was emailing Rosenthal and bombarding him constantly. So... eventually he just caved,
He's tied to the Clintons. If there was even a 1% chance that he was going to turn on anybody, he'd be gone. He'd already be Clintoned.
He'd be Clinton, man. He'd end up in a damn ditch somewhere.
So there's a 0% chance he's turning on anybody.
I'm telling you, I'm with Don on this. I mean, Mark Elias will continue to Charlie Mike like he is not, the partner of a now indicted co-conspirator. This is way worse than a process crime indictment. It is not the simple, he lied to a federal agent. Don, that's not what was being alleged here. This was he lied because it was part of a conspiracy to defraud the FBI, Main Justice, the American people. I mean, this was all a lie. And if they really wanted to, all of these people, the fact pattern is known, is my point. Only idiot Mad Owl watchers still don't know what happened here, right? And don't know the central facts. Devin Nunes was telling us about 2.5 years ago. He was telling us most of this. He knew all of this already. They were, just lying. I mean, that's it. And the only ones who still don't know what happened are people who are duped, because they have TDS. But believe me, the investigators themselves, it's not like they need any more time to piece this crap together, Don. They know what happened here. They know. So I'm with you. I'm with Don on that. Good question, though. The verdict is still out, and sadly, I don't think we have enough information. Like Don said, there are people who everyone's got an agenda. We don't know what angle they're playing at right now. We don't know, so we don't even have all of the information. It's a tragedy. I will tell you, the real document from Barr to Durham, giving Durham the power to really roughshod through these people, did not come until October, until right before the election. So all of those headlines, folks. I'll never forget when I saw that paper for myself. Somebody leaked it, and I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Laura's like, "What is that look on your face?" And I'm like, "It's the authorization to increase scope. It's October, like this month." The whole room just got silent. Like, you're kidding me? Meanwhile, Fox News and others are all being fed information that's just not real. Yep. He was doing nothing.
None of it's real.
None of it's real.
The Matrix.
It is. We live more in a matrix. The world, the construct we're in right now, it's more matrix than it is real anymore, Don. It is. Mm-hmm. Sad, man. It's scary. But tell everybody what you got going on, buddy. I'm going to kick rocks. Mm-hmm. So, what do you got going on this weekend?
So first off, last night we had a great conversation with geologist and best-selling author Gregory Wrightstone. Awesome guy if you've never heard him before. He's the guy who wrote The Inconvenient Facts. Yeah. The truth that Al Gore does not want you to know. An amazing guy. So we had a great discussion about the reality. We're talking about this Matrix thing.
Speaking of Matrix, yeah.
Climate change. I mean, climate change. And he's not saying the climate's not changing. He's saying it's not for the worst. He says that the planet's not going to be destroyed. We're actually a greener planet today than we were when we first started. Anyway, great conversations with him. So that was last night's show. Tomorrow, I've got, of course, we've got Rich the People's Pundit Barris. We've got Chef Andrew Gruel on the program. We're going to talk to him about, Gavin Newsom made a statement that he said that this vote, this recall vote, was a referendum on his vaccine passports going forward. So just like we had the precursor to Joe Biden doing his tyrannical stuff, this guy's going to get completely out of control now. And I'm curious to see what Chef Gruel thinks about that, because he's going to be directly impacted. But he's also got a great program he's doing to help out the restaurant businesses that are being hurt.
Yeah.
People need to understand they're being hurt by not just the mandates and all these different things. They're being hurt by the Grubhubs, the all the DoorDash and all these. If everybody really understood how those things worked, you might not do them as much. So I don't mean to trash on those. I don't mean to at all. I'm a capitalist, but that's hurting the restaurant industry, and we're going to get him to explain why that is. Also, Peter Hussey on the program. But I want to give a special shout out to, I've got the new show going every Monday at noon Eastern time, the Stand Up America US show with MG Paul Vallely, my dear friend, Major General Paul Vallely. He's doing an amazing job. We sat down yesterday for 30 minutes with Ted and Shemaine Nugent, and it was awesome. I mean, Ted never disappoints, and you never walk away from a conversation with Ted wondering what he really thought. So he was on fire yesterday. So we're going to play a clip of that on tomorrow's show. We did last night too. And we're going to play the full 30 minutes on Monday. We've also got live on Monday. We've got Colonel Alan West. So 30 minutes with Alan West. So anybody, you got questions, and this is your time to ask. So anybody who might have a question for Colonel Alan West, true patriot, great guy, come on in the show on there. So donsmithshow.locals.com. We go live tomorrow at noon Eastern time, and hope you all can join us.
Sounds good, and I'll be there too, my friend, as always, now that I'm back up and running.
Back in the game.
Yeah, back in the game.
Yes.
All right. Everybody follow Don on, check him out on Locals, donsmithshow.locals.com. He's also now on Getter at Don Smith Show as well. And, check him out there as well. Don, we will see you tomorrow, my friend.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
All the best. Give Brenda my best.
Will do.
Love you, Brenda. Love you too, Don.
That is, and he still heard you. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, as always. Inside the Numbers, Locals. We're going to talk more about adverse effects in a little bit. What do you have? Something you want to add?
Just don't forget, tomorrow, September 18th, is the January 6th Matt Brainerd's Look Ahead America protest.
And, if you guys are going to go, we ask you, as always, to follow his guidelines, adhere to his guidelines. And
we wish we could.
I just want to reiterate happy birthday to Don. Again.
Happy birthday, Don!
He's my good friend, spends an hour on the program with us on his birthday,
That's what friends are for.
I wanted to reiterate and say happy birthday to him. With that, Look Ahead America's event is tomorrow, and I guess I'm not missing anything else, right? I mean, when we get closer to times, I feel like I'm missing like appearances or something. I wanted to tell people about next week.
You're gonna have the gag. You're gonna be on the gaggle.
I know the gaggles next week. Just keep an eye out. Well, I missed the one though on with Steve Gruber. I forgot to pop on and tell people. But that's all right. I'll grab the clip and throw it back up. Yeah. So now that we have the adverse effects stuff, guys, take a look at it. I'm gonna go add as soon as I get off here. I'm going to go add parental status as well, so you can nest that and you can see what I'm talking about, and we'll discuss it in a little bit. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. All the best. If you like the video, of course, hit the thumbs up button, and then hit subscribe, hit that notification bell after you subscribe, and that'll let you know when we're going to go live. But definitely the best way to follow us is to check us out on Locals, peoplespundit.locals.com. All right, folks, see you soon.
Thank you for all the well wishes.
Yes,
Love
as
you guys.
always. See you soon. Check.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends, and spread a little love just for a little fun? I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love, because you're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. We can get on a plane and take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a night, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Administration is cutting supplies in red states by 50%. So, for example,